they say making sales is one thing, but keeping costs low is a minimum. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that every aspiring entrepreneur needs to know and should know, because it's all about how to build a business with low ongoing costs. Now, you might be thinking that a successful business requires massive upfront investments or taking on huge amounts of debt. But in reality, it is possible to start lean, keep your overheads very low consistently, and achieve profitability faster than you might imagine. But it's important that you have the right business model in place. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Lewis, we'll talk about the initial steps to actually get started with a business with low ongoing costs. How does somebody go from having an idea to launching a successful e-commerce store with minimal costs? Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, they say making sales is one thing, but keeping costs low is a minimum. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And that's what actually makes you money. Now, the beauty of this business model is that we have designed it to get you profitable as quickly as possible by keeping those monthly overhead costs as incredibly lean in comparison to more traditional businesses, or even not traditional businesses, but just other types of e-commerce businesses. You know, things like fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, for example, where you're putting tens of thousands of pounds into stock potentially to order your first batch of units, and then you're having to pour any cash from sales back in to keep ahead of stock so you don't go out of stock. And, you know, it can be a really expensive process. The setup process of this kind of business is very, very minimal in terms of costs from the start. We always start off by registering a limited company, opening up a business bank account. There's actually a service that we've partnered with Tide Bank that allow you to do both of those things for less than the cost of doing it through Companies House yourself. So if you head over to dropshipunlocked.com/company, you can actually get your limited company set up using their service for just, I think it's £14.99. So it's way cheaper than using Companies House. Or if you already have your limited company, but you don't yet have your business bank account, go to dropshipunlocked.com/tide and you get £50 and 1 year of free bank transfers. So those are the foundations, the fundamentals. Tide is a great service. It's the one that we recommend. And then we turn our attention to choosing a niche. You'll have heard this term, I'm sure. You know, we've got to make sure we select the right market of products to sell and the right types and group of products to sell. There's no need for those expensive market research agencies or market research softwares that you have to subscribe to. We use very simple, free methods to validate profitable niches. The thing I don't like about these kind of like niche selection softwares is that if you're setting the criteria on like sliders to a certain way, how many other people are doing that, are landing on the exact same products and choosing them because the software tells them that it works, but not because they understand why it works. I think it's way better if we can teach an entrepreneur how to assess the validity of a market so they can get up and running themselves and choose a profitable niche and understand why it's proven in demand, profitable, etc. Then it's time to build an e-commerce website. So once you have your products selected, you've picked your niche, you want to build a store. We use Shopify's basic plan to keep costs extremely low and get a professional looking site up and running very, very quickly. One way you can do that for, I believe it's £1 per month for the first 3 months. And there's a 3-day free trial, I think, as well, is if you head to dropshipunlocked.com/Shopify, we've got a deal with them where you can get that. So for your first 3 months, it's like £3 in total, which is incredible. So all of those setup actions are designed to keep your costs low intentionally and to get our business to a position where we can start generating sales as quickly as possible without having to wait around or sign up to lots of costly services. Perfect. And that's the key, isn't it? Is getting to profitable as quickly as possible. It's probably one of the biggest benefits that people go with dropshipping compared to other business models that are out there to start nowadays. It's because of the very low starting cost and also the low ongoing cost of running that business moving forward as well. The ongoing costs we'll get into in a second, but all of those actions that we take that you've been through there, you know, completely from start to having a Shopify store built. We talked about one £15 payment to get business bank account and a company set up. And beyond that, it's a Shopify fee for like £1 for the first month or first few months. It's very, very low. And you can have a Shopify store built with solid foundations. And also the point you mentioned about choosing a niche. I know startup companies, when they get started, they often reach out to market research agencies who will quote them in the tens of thousands of pounds to check if there is a market for the products that they're planning to sell. And there's still no guarantee that, there's going to be a fantastic business when you get past that research stage. But instead of having to go through all of that process, what you showed me in week 2 of the program is the niche validation process that shows you which products have a market, have a demand already, so we can tack on straight into that without having to use very expensive software or an agency to get started. So hugely important. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep at the end of each month. And a big part of that is about bringing your costs down, keeping a really tight, lean business, so you keep as much of the money that you generate as possible. So once you've launched that business through the process you've just been through there, Lewis, how do you manage your costs of running an e-commerce business to ensure they remain very low, especially in the early days?
Yes, I think it's acting almost in like a minimalistic or a minimalist business owner mentality. So keeping your overheads low, not tacking on all of the different paid apps that you could add on, but at the very early stages, does it really make sense to be spending, extra subscription money on those? So things like Shopify, a phone line, Google Workspace for your kind of domain hosting, or your they don't do domain hosting anymore, but like your email address, your company email address, all of that type of stuff, your domain registration, your actual website address through whichever service you register that. So you can actually do that through Shopify now. I mean, you're looking at less than £50 per month, maybe a little bit more, but like that is unheard of to run a business for even under £100 a month. Is just like, in what other time could you do that, without trading your time? Because people will say, oh no, you can start a business for free. You just have to be the business. So yeah, but right now we're building a business that frees up our time as well as being low cost to start. So it's really, really a special type of business in that sense. Using automation tools as well can help reduce the manual workload, because at first you've probably not yet hired a virtual assistant in this business. You may not have the profit coming in yet to do that. So you want to try and automate tasks like order fulfillment or customer service. We can lean on AI now, AI chatbots, to be able to kind of scrape the entirety of your website and then answer those very simple customer questions on live chat very, very quickly, and even like close sales for you in the middle of the night whilst you're sleeping. Of course, marketing systems, setting up your Google ads correctly and making sure you're sending laser targeted traffic into your store rather than just hoping that someone stumbles across an ad or a social media post on Facebook or Instagram or something. And also then just making sure that when you're focusing on paid ads and you're driving only very targeted buyers onto your website using Google Ads, which is what we use, focusing on making sure you've got a well-targeted budget and making sure that those clicks are qualified. They come into the site knowing the price by using something like Google Shopping or Performance Max campaigns, and that they are a high commercial intent clicker. Not every customer is going to, every viewer to your website is going to buy, of course, but you can increase the conversion rate by only paying for clicks that have been pre-qualified to know the price. They're interested in the product. We're only paying for clicks on products that would make us enough profit on a sale to offset all of those ad costs. So by the time customers land on your site, if they buy a product for £2,000 at a 30% profit margin, you might make £600. That could be 2 months worth of ad spend, all made back in the profit from one single sale. So you can see why that works. And then from there, you can start to think about putting money into other channels like organic marketing, SEO, social media marketing. And then maybe you want to kind of get an agency to manage that stuff for you and keep churning stuff out and making sure that you're putting out good content across those platforms. Again, without you as the business owner being inundated and having your time sucked up by spreading yourself so thinly that you can't really do any of those things yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you've got more time to focus on the overall business, you can then ensure you're keeping your costs low and look at the overall business and make sure that you're not getting carried away with all these costs that could catch your eye, like fancy apps that you really don't need, etc., etc. So you can keep your business really lean and minimalist, as you say. So as soon as you make a few sales of these high ticket sales, that goes straight to the bottom line because of your costs being so low, less than £100 a month to continue run this business. And it was so important to me. I mean, I'd saved some money when I first got started with dropshipping, but a big thing that I needed to make sure the business could do for me was to keep my costs very low, to make, because I didn't have a lot of money really to go. I didn't have this huge backing of tens of thousands of pounds into a business. I just wanted to get started from my bedroom initially. So it's important that it kept low. Also, when you've got a business that has really low ongoing costs, the amount of risk that you are open to is much less as well. Because even if you didn't make a sale for a month, your costs are so low that it's not going to damage you financially. And then as soon as you make 1, 2, 3 sales a month, you're well into the green because of the high ticket type of dropshipping that we do, where we sell £2,000 products regularly and have £600 profit per order regularly as well. So yeah, it's a no-brainer why we go into this business model. And you can see we're very big fans of it, especially because of how low those ongoing costs are, and the marketing side of it as well. That's a big part. It'd probably be your biggest cost of the business, but it's not an overhead cost. It's not ongoing. It's variable based on how much sales you bring in. So the lower the budget, the less sales. But when you have more sales, you'll have a higher budget. But as long as you're keeping an eye on the profitability of that campaign, it will only rise in line with the amount of sales that you're making as well. So that's why we make sure to have very highly qualified traffic, and we increase our budget slowly to make sure that we are profitable from as early as possible when we run our businesses.